Chanel. Hey, Sandy B. Okay, let me at least get about 20 people in here before I start telling y'all my story again. Some of y'all are rejoining me, and I appreciate y'all being here. I hope y'all are having a good day. We've had a rough couple of weeks, and I think we're finally on the up and up here. But we'll just give me a few more minutes and let some more people join in, and I'll start talking all about it. Okay. I hope everyone's doing well today. It's been about 50 degrees here in Tennessee, and then today it dropped off. We had a little cold spell. Hey, Miss Joan. Okay, thank y'all. Let's get started. Okay, so my name is Erica, and about 10 years ago, I was placed on hospice with a rare, incurable, terminal neurovascular disease. And I was fully expected to pass away within 6 months to a year. At the end of that year on hospice, when I didn't pass away, I started these treatments. And these treatments made me healthy enough to carry and deliver a child after hospice. I didn't know I was pregnant with her until I was about 6 to 8 weeks out from my due date. And at that time of her delivery, I lost all the blood in my body and lost my life. Now, in that minute, so many things happened. But I like to say that whether you remember it or not, everyone has had a loss of life experience and will do so again. It is a beautiful, peaceful, loving, magical experience. It's the only thing that comes close to losing your life is giving life. So, and if you're a woman, then you know what that's like. Or if you've been with a woman during childbirth, you know how sacred that experience is. When I passed away, I met my dad, who had already passed, and he showed me all these things. And then I went to these higher dimensions, and so much happened in such a short amount of time, because time is not linear as we see it here. So everything happened all at once, everywhere, everything was occurring. And one of the unique things about my experience is that I was given all of this information. If you can imagine 50 or 60 computers up, and then all the tabs on them open, and then taking all that into a little SD card and just putting it right in a brain. That's what happened. And so these things are meant to serve in our next lifetime to slowly relearn those things. But I was given this rare opportunity to come back with all this information, to be in this exact time, in this exact space, to share my story. This is not to change anyone's mind about anything. It's just simply to share my story. And so, with all of that being said, I open it up to questions or comments or things that you want to discuss. And if no one has anything, I'll just keep talking. But just, if you can, it doesn't cost you anything to do this, but if you can double tap your screen, it just lets me know that you're hearing me, and it keeps people from interrupting the live. So, okay, so there's a few. Thank y'all for that. Does anyone have any questions about that? Or, hey, Aunt Cindy. I'll tell y'all, my Aunt Cindy and I had a discussion this morning. She's one of my elders. She's known me my whole life. And I think she's always understand that I had some spiritual gifts and a calling placed in my life, and maybe we didn't fully understand it at the time. Now that you have a child, does death scare you at all? That's what I struggle with. No, absolutely not. There is truly nothing on this planet to be feared. Death is certainly not one of those things that I fear, because death was one of the most peaceful experiences. And I think a lot of people struggle with knowing that their family will grieve, or but let me tell you something. You can go back to your family. I remember trying to go to my son and my daughter and even my newborn whenever I'd passed, and saying to them, think of me like the wind. You may not be able to grasp me, but if you think of me and feel me and allow yourself to, then you will know that I'm there. Because humans, we are more than our physical bodies. And I like to use the reference point of how honeybees see humans. And if you look that up, you can see like billions and billions of fractals of light. And that's exactly what we are. The way that honeybees see us. And so we can leave little parts of ourselves with our loved ones. Okay, is there God? Okay. I say this carefully. There is a creator of all things. What happened, my entire belief system was ripped out from underneath me in a minute, because I grew up in this rural conservative Christian area my entire life, and I was taught what to believe. And when I say this, I want to say it carefully, not to offend anyone. We were made to be creators. And what happened is, the minute someone broke away from the direct source, the direct creator, it made a middleman, which made it harder to connect directly to source. And through these different times, we've gotten further and further away from source each time. So there is a creator of all things, and we are all connected, but not in the sense of a biblical, mythical creature. Okay, so when you say you received info for your next life, what does that mean? Okay, so I'm glad that you brought this up, because when I say that, I actually mean this lifetime. I did not receive, I saw all my past lifetimes, and I know that I have been a creature here on this earth for eons of time. We are infinite, immortal beings, okay? Whether you believe that or not, that's what I was shown. And when I say that I was given information about my next life, I actually mean the one that I'm living now. So that just means how I will carry out. And I do know that this, after I end my life on this time and space, when I'm finished, when I'm done with my mission, then it will be my choice, because of my life path number and my lives before this one. I will either get to be part of a guide team, or what I think most people call it a spirit team, or I don't like that reference, because that's not the right word, but the energetic team that we have, or I can reincarnate as any different being on earth. So what I choose in my next life will probably be dependent on where my children are at that time and how old they are. Okay, my life path number is a 9. Even an animal, yes. We have soul contracts with animals sometimes. We can have, those can be very special animals to us. We don't have to come back. Okay, so I'll say this. You have a choice. Everyone will face a end of life review. And what happens is that you're shown everything good that you've done. And I say good, and I use that loosely, okay? It's not a judgment day. It's more like a review, like an exit interview. That's a good analogy for it. It's an exit interview. And then you get asked, would you like to continue on, stay the course for your mission, or would you like to do something different? What have you learned from this experience? And all of that information is to put in those libraries. Each human experience that we have, and I like to say that things happen for us and not to us. So every hard obstacle or every difficult challenge you faced in your life has been for a very specific purpose, and that will be added to that library. You don't have to come back, but most of you will choose to, because Earth is the ultimate university where we learn the most, and how difficult emotions can play into our decisions. We learn a lot about being human. If my dad comes back, will he still be in my family? Perhaps a niece or nephew that is being born. Absolutely, this can happen. So there is a professor at the University of Virginia who studies children with past life experiences. And he also takes records of near-death experiences. So I recorded my experience with him, and I encourage everyone that has an experience like that where you actually do pass away to record that experience with him, because he has studied this his entire professional career. And it's important to continue to add to that earth knowledge too. Where do you get your life number? Look, I didn't know anything about life numbers until after my passing. And you get it from your birthday. It's really simple calculation. I think you can Google it. It's got something to do, like you add each individual number up, the day, the month that you were born, and it will tell you your life path. Okay, do you trust the info? Absolutely. I cannot tell you the confirmations that I get over and over and over again in my daily life, and it's real. I know it is. I ask specific questions, so I know I can trust the information. If there's something specific that you're asking, is hell real? Okay, I want to say this. Hell and heaven, the way that we've been taught, are completely wrong. Heaven and hell exist in the mind. It truly is a mental and energetic thing. For instance, hell could be a state of mind where you focus on things that are happening to you and think it's just the worst, right? So that's literally hell, right? And then heaven would be like where you can flip the script and you take everything that happens to you and see it as an indifferent experience. You can flip it and say, this happened for me. What did I learn from it? And when you can transmute all the negative into positive, that is magic, and that is alchemy. And so what I will say is that there are lower dimensions and then there are higher dimensions. And I asked specifically to see a person that had hurt someone I love burning in hell. And that's the first thing I wanted to do when I passed away. And I was taken to this cold, dark, damp, dirty place that did not look like the hell that I thought it would be. And the reason is because I was taught that hell would be an eternal fire, right? That's what we think of. So when I said, why is he not in hell? That triggered my mind to ask all kinds of questions, and I did. And so I was shown that this man had his life review, and he had his day in court where his peers decided that he would be in that place for 200 years, and so people pay for what they do on earth. Karma, justice will be served. So, that's an interesting thing. So there are higher dimensions, and whenever I got to the highest dimension, which was 15, or that's what I saw, 15 different higher dimensions. When I got to that place, I even asked the Creator. I said, wow, is this heaven? And he told me, the Creator, non-binary, the Creator said to me, this is what I know that you think of as heaven, but this is actually the 15th dimension. Had I not seen that version of hell that I didn't understand, it would not have set into this course of actions and questions. I wanted confirmation on everything I was seeing, and I wanted to be able to understand all these numbers that I was shown, all these patterns I was shown, all this light. And so I did specifically ask for details. Okay, have you wrote in detail about your experience? I would love to read it. I have not done this. I write poems, and I write things. I share things that I think are important at the time. But there's something really important here, because I want to share this with you face to face, because something about a story gets lost in text. I can think of plenty of stories where I pictured a character in my mind, and then when they made a film, actually asking the author about it, it's a completely different character. So I do not want anything to be misinterpreted when I'm saying that, because this is my truth, this is my story, and it's very personal to me. And I don't want the authenticity or the truth or the love behind it to get lost behind paper. And I'm a reader. I've always been a reader. But something about actually writing it doesn't feel right to me. So I have not. I've talked about my experience on some of these lives before. And I have a YouTube channel where I post them after. So you're more than welcome to hop over there and watch some of those. Because we have some powerful lives, and we do some amazing things in these. 15th particle density, yes. A friend had visions of heaven during a seizure. He was shown ancient symbols. Can you translate? Okay, yes, probably so. If you want to send that to me, I would be glad to look at it. And I want you to understand that heaven is not heaven. Like, we need to lose all the language that we've been taught to believe, because it's keeping us from knowing our absolute truth. Hey, Nicole, thank you for being here. I'm so glad to be here. Hey, something else I want to talk to y'all about. I've been sitting with something, and it's felt heavy for me for a long time, and a lot of y'all that have been with me know that. But I want to know, has anyone else been feeling unwell or having some... If you don't feel comfortable sharing it in the live, please share it with me after. I'm doing some research on my own here to try to figure out some visions that I've been given, okay? And what I say, I'm careful, because I promised that when energies communicate with humans, it is very difficult. and they give us what we can understand. And let me tell you, because when I tried to go to my son and daughter, it took every ounce of effort and energy I had to go to them and tell them that. And I asked them after my experience, did you feel anything? Did you hear anything? And my son said, I felt the wind, but, I feel the wind all the time. So we tend to overlook so many things. We have been programmed to believe that magic is this over-the-top experience, when in fact, magic happens around us every day, all day long. The wind, it can be something simple like alignment, me finding you today. There's so many things that happen in divine guiding and alignment. And so we need to reconnect with finding the magic in the ordinary things. That feels important to me because of things that have transpired around me. And I can see that it's really important to hang on to the ordinary moments and find the extraordinary in them. I share sometimes like, the opposite of triggers. I read somewhere the opposite of triggers are glimmers. Like small things in your day, when you see them, they spark joy. And so I think that's an important thing that we need to... Okay, so a lot of you are sharing these things. A lot of you are feeling sick. What about the... Sweet Nina, thank you. I am sending love. I always am sending love out. Has your outlook on life and the human experience changed? Absolutely. 1,000% and more. In so many ways. This has changed. Okay, so whenever I was on hospice, I already had a rare opportunity to live like I was dying. And then when it actually happened, when losing my life actually occurred, it changed everything again. So everything has changed. Okay, so a lot of people are not feeling great. Okay, Nicole, you've been in tears all day. It's got to be something in the air. Okay. I'm going to sit with these things today, okay? And I want you to focus on hope. It is easy for us to get lost in all these distractions and all these... Look, there's so much happening in the world, not just in the States, but everywhere, right? Not just on Turtle Island, it's everywhere, all around us. And so I personally have removed myself from any news program or media. I can't watch TV anymore. I can't even... Christmas has been a real challenging time for me because I have felt the need to, revolutionize everything that we've been taught. Even down to... revolutionize everything that we've been taught. Even down to... commercial. The message that I keep having is consume less and connect more. So I've had to be operating in both of these worlds where I still have children and they're seeing all the friends around them get all these extravagant gifts, but they get things all through the year also. So it's tough to be in this situation. And if you're dealing with that spiritual awakening and you realize things are not important, we can't eat money, then you probably are at the same place that I am, sitting with that energy and feeling heavy. And let me tell you that there is hope. And I am literally been shown a new earth, a new existence, a new utopia where peace and love and wealth and abundance occur. But it's just being patient, isn't it? And that's the hard part, isn't it, Aunt Lou? Like, we have, it's not always our timing. And that's what's hard. It's being a mission-based person and, like, hyper-focused on certain things. When I get a project, I'm, like, all in it. So when I have a mission, it's like, I want it to happen now. The patience part is the hard part. Miss Jones says, we will be celebrating winter solstice and Yule this year. That's great. I love that because we celebrate that as well. And I made a modern day Yule log on my table, and it's got candles all in it. And another beautiful tradition that we've started with my youngest is on solstice night, the longest night. We collect popcorn and nuts and things throughout the year that maybe have been left over, or, been like pumpkins, and we'll go and we give back to the earth. We put that around a tree and we give back to that tree. We planted that tree a couple years ago, and it's finally about knee-high to a grasshopper, and we give back to it every year. So that's, I think an important part of this is not forgetting everything that's happened in the past, right? But it's about stepping forward and writing a new history for our children and our grandchildren. And I'm going to tell y'all that I truly know deep down in my heart and deep in my bones that okay, I'm going to say this carefully. Everything that has happened will be brought to light and justice will be served. Okay, so there are things about this that run very deep that we don't even realize. I was shown all of it, and I made promises that I have to uphold. So I just have to say that all of the light that is about to exist on earth, on this new earth, all the light and love and peace could not have existed without millennia of darkness. Okay, so when I say that, it's not to forget that there was darkness, but hopefully in the future, our children and our grandchildren will never know it was any different. They will have health care. They will be taken care of. They will be offered education. And I know this sounds like a far stretch from home, right? But I know that it happens. Truth chills. Good. I'm glad that's happening. I can't wait. The Dark Ones won during the last post shelf, not this one. Look, and this has been another thing that I address on these lives, because we have been told time and time again that a great catastrophe has to happen for new beginnings. But what if it's more than that? What if that was programmed into us so we all gave it time and attention? So we know that our direct energy, the energy that we place and the focus that we give something, it can directly affect the outcome. So what if, instead of thinking that something terrible has to happen for something good to come out, what if we just assume and focus that only good can exist going forward? Our highest good. Because we no longer consent to things that don't serve our highest good. And by saying that aloud, your highest good is my highest good. This goes beyond religions, politics, class, creed, anything that has been set up to divide us. This goes beyond any of that. And it's far-reaching, it's global, and it will happen. Okay, so let me go back and read some by moving forward, I've been losing some friends and it bothers me. Okay, look, I completely understand this, but they're not your friends to begin with. And this is something, I knew I was shown this for a reason, and this is because I needed to see this today. Look, I'm going to share a really personal experience, and y'all know if I do that, I may get emotional, okay? My daughter is 16, and we went through this in the 4th grade where girls were just horrible, mean. Like, beyond mean that you could even imagine. Like telling her just go home and off herself, just really horrible things. And we moved past that. She got past that. But now she's 16, and I was reluctant to come out and tell my story and share my story because I wasn't sure how it would affect my children. And now she is being teased and mocked again, and it's tough, it's difficult, right? But she has taught me a lesson because she came home and she was talking about it, and I said, do you want me to do something about it, or do you just want to handle it? And she said, I just need to handle it. It doesn't deserve my time and attention. So she withdrew herself from that. She didn't place her time and energy on that. It didn't end. It's still happening. But it was important for me to see that because I now know that none of those people have been her true friends. And look, we don't always have real friends in our life. And if we do find one, keep that person. Because that's another experience that happens sometimes once in a lifetime. We have a real, true, undeniable, unconditional person that we can go to. I've had just a few in my life, and I'm so grateful for those people. And, I've lost, when I was on hospice, I lost everyone that I called a friend. Whether it was too difficult for them to see me sick or think that they were going to lose me, I don't know what it was, but I didn't change as a person. I was sick. I was limited physically. But those people just quit. They left. And in a way that makes room for greater things. That makes room for a more true and a deeper connection. So just hang tight and know that you have to let go sometimes to make room for greater, deeper connections. People are losing health insurance and oh no, Nicole, this is something I am. Look, I want to tell you this. Did you know whenever I worked, I'm able to say this today because I used to be part of a healthcare system, okay? And did you know that actually sometimes it is more expensive to use your insurance than let's just say if you wanted to cash pay with something? This is the transition part that's hard. It doesn't mean that there will not be any hiccups along the way. But it does mean that it's bringing up important issues that will need to be addressed. So I appreciate you saying that and sharing that. They quit on me. That's what it felt like. Yeah. Yeah, and just know it's making room for deeper connections because I can honestly tell you, I had a friend group growing up that there were 3 of us, and we were thick as thieves. I didn't have many friends because I was always a little different. A lot of people's parents don't like kids who talk to dead people and things like that, So, especially in the Bible Belt, that's a little odd. So, I had a few friends growing up, and whenever I was at my weakest point and I needed people there, they just abandoned me. And I know now that that happened so I could have a deeper connection. I would not have met the people that have been placed directly in my path now, that I have such deep and true connections with Thomas and my Aunt Cindy and even my spouse. You know, like, none of those would have happened had I not had that spiral. Empaths can really struggle with death and sickness. We feel everything. It's so much. Yes. Look, empaths can really struggle with death and sickness. We feel everything. It's so much. Yes. Look, I think a lot of times, we know, neuroscientists know now, that there are people called HSPs, highly sensitive persons or people, whatever you want to call them. So, it's not a far stretch to think that we can pick up on energy. And this is a good point. Like, Thomas and I had a conversation saying that there's some creators out there saying that empathy is a trauma response. And to those people, I say, no, thank you. I don't subscribe to that, because my daughter is 3 and she has never had a traumatic experience in her life. In fact, quite the opposite. She's been handed everything she ever wants, and she has this innate ability to connect with everyone around her. We went to this show, and she picked up on that this little girl was feeling sad. And it was just amazing to me, because empathy is a superpower. It's a blessing and a curse within itself, I know. But it's not a trauma response. It is a gift. And use that gift, because our gifts are not our own. They're made to share with others. Okay, I don't think I've missed any questions. Okay, manifestation, question mark. Okay, so I want to say this about manifesting. The universe gives us everything we need. As humans, in this age, this day and age, I'm saying that like I'm okay, let's just say this. The programs that have been set up and constructed for us to form us into these beings that we are today, commercial beings, consumer beings, we always want more, more, more. But the universe will often give us the things that we've earned. Okay, so I'm going to say this. Your focus and attention and energy can create your reality, and it can directly impact what you receive. But the universe has plans of its own. The earth, the Mother Earth, has plans of her own. And we have been greedy for way too long. And that may feel wrong for me to say that to some of you, because we're dealing with poverty, right? Like, I don't mean you specifically. I mean, humans in general have been designed, have been programmed to want more and more and more. And this is like, okay, I've been struggling with Christmas, so I wanted to do the Yule log with Olive, and I went out, and if some of y'all were here last week, we talked about her picking up the magic leaf, and she wanted to keep it. And I told her we have to ask Mother Earth, because that's something that's been taken away from her, consent. You know, like, we talked about revoking consent. Well, Mother Earth has said that same thing to me. And so I told Olive, it's important because this leaf may be a home for a frog in the winter, or this leaf may protect one of those butterflies that you love so much. So in that, when we were searching for, I've decided to do the natural pine and spruce that we've planted. And so I went out and I said, "Hello, I admire your lovely branches." And now this may be cuckoo to a lot of people, but I swear our trees are part of us. Everything is part of us. We are all connected. So I said to my pine tree, I said, "I admire your lovely branches. We're trying to do something new this year where I'm not using as many artificial decorations. Can I have one of your branches and I will bring you food?" And so I felt like the pine tree said no, so I didn't take from it. And so, then the cypress tree that I went to was willing to give more. So, it's just finding a balance of taking only what you need and asking for only what you need, because the universe has the earth has everything. At one point, she had everything we needed to survive as a human species. And we have taken and taken and taken. They are conscious. Thank you. I have a favorite tree, and it's a pecan tree. And she has an elderberry nestled into her root system. And I just think she's a grandmother. She, we have many conversations. She's inspired some of the best thoughts that I've ever had. And someone asked, why do I not publish my poems? And I said, because I can't take credit. They wouldn't exist without the elders and listening to them. They are very aware. Okay, talk about your NDE, please. Okay, so I'm not sure what you're wanting to know. If you're just joining us, then I have a YouTube page where I talk about that experience, and I've said that in here. But if you're wanting in-depth details, just know that everyone will have a loss of life experience. I was given a rare gift and opportunity to come back with this knowledge of so many lifetimes. And so I don't want to talk about death. I want to talk about my life and the living that needs to happen right now. We were programmed to believe we have dominion over plants and animals, but that isn't true. Yeah. And listen, I think I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to cry. Okay, so listen, I have always had a connection to everything on the land. Like, just always, ever since I was little. And that was not fostered on the land. Like, just always, ever since I was little. And that was not fostered in me. That was not encouraged. It just was. It existed. And the hardest thing I've had to do as an adult is, beside losing my dog, and she was truly my sister. I know she was. She's just such a gift to me, Sadie. And my neighbor shot her. So I can't tell you, farmers have a deep understanding of this. Native people have a deep understanding and a connection, and they know not to take more than they need. And one of the things that I've learned about keeping goats is that, some people eat goats, and I would never take a life if I didn't intend to eat that thing. It's just not something I can do. But we are all made for each other, to help one another. So, there are different types of people on earth, but we're all connected. And it's important we realize that we are earth and we have to take care of ourselves, right? So there's stewardship and not dominion. Yes. Thank you, Des. Hey, how are you? I hope you're doing okay. I've been sending some healing energy for you. Listen, I don't know. I know a lot of y'all are getting frustrated and feeling this heavy energy. But just know that there are people working tirelessly behind the scenes to try to make things happen and to try to foster in this new concept and this utopia that we know that can exist. And I just want to have a conversation, since there's some like-minded people in this group and y'all have been knowing me for a while. Okay, I have constantly, my entire life, had this deep purpose and meaning, and it got stronger after my loss of life experience. And my message has always been one of like peace, love, and hope. So I want to know right now, do y'all think that peace and love and hope can be bridged? Can it be just that? Can a community come together and decide that they are sovereign beings and take care of one another? What are y'all's thoughts on that? Sore but good. Trees communicate with each other. They do, yes. Yes, okay. I love listening to you. I believe my family will never see any of this. Thank you for that. Okay. Do you think though... Okay, wait. Do you think only those who believe in Jesus go to heaven? Okay. So, you're new here. Hi, thank you for being here. I know that we've been aligned for a great purpose today. Listen, Jesus was a real historical figure, but his message got perverted and misused. And much like, I was having this conversation with someone today too, about how Jesus was saying this message. He couldn't read or write, but he was constantly preaching this same thing, like, you don't need to pay anyone for your connection. You can go straight to source. You can live your life in peace and love and have unity with one another. You know, these things, these connections will actually heal you mentally, physically, energetically, cellularly. And actually, when I asked to see Jesus, he wanted me to come back and tell people he's furious because his message was lost in translation, lost in text. And this is another thing that I have this thing in my mind about him saying that, because when you couldn't look Jesus right in his face, you would not know that it got lost somewhere, is what I'm trying to say. He's upset about that. And he sits with a ton of ascended masters who have reincarnated time and time again to try to make a difference. And they all have the same message of love and connection and unity. But the thing about it is that time and time again, they have been mistranslated. Like revelations were talked about in such a negative way that we thought it had to be some apocalyptic future. And the revelations to me is just simply like us waking up and realizing that all this can happen. We have to create the change that we seek. So together, when we seek great change, we see great change. And this is the thing that doesn't need to be lost in text or writing again. And there will be no more martyrs or sacrificial lambs, because we can see time and time again that hasn't worked. One person sacrifices life and nothing changes. So that doesn't happen. The next, I think Thomas shared with me one time, the next Buddha will not be one person. It will be a group of people, a collective that seeks change and tries to make that happen. And heaven does not exist like you know of it. Heaven is the 15th dimension, and it's light and love and peace. But so heaven and hell are just simply a state of mind. Okay, Erica, I've been trying the code you gave me also. I hope it is helping. Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that. I feel many awakened souls have that in their hearts to create, but it's been difficult. Yeah, I know. And so that's what I've been trying to think about. Like, because part of my purpose and my mission is to not take money, because I truly believe that it's not going to be important anymore. But until that transition and that bridge is made, we need money to fight money, right? So we just have to figure out, we need to maybe figure out how to make that happen. And I'm sitting with that and asking my team about that, because I felt called to do that, to make a safe house. And along with another person, I've felt time and time again that it's up to me to do that. And so sometimes when energy gives you a message, it's your job to sit with it. And does it mean actually building a physical house, or does it mean creating a time and a space to sit with others and help them heal? So that's something that we have to look into, and help them heal. So that's something that we have to look into. That's how the kingdom comes. Heaven comes to earth. We raise the frequency. Yes, thank you for that. Yeah. Okay, men will never believe women when we, as seer, gives the message. You know, this is something that I've thought about too. Because okay, I'm just going to tell it. Okay, there's some things that I've been shown, and I don't have proof. I only have visions. And so that makes it hard, doesn't it? But, you know, I think that's the important part of sitting with the message before you speak it. And it doesn't really matter anymore who believes, because those who have eyes to see will see, those who have ears to hear will hear. Okay, this is an interesting point by Mariah. I think it's possible, but the current system puts us in survival mode. Greed, competition, and envy. Wow, yes, that is correct. Yeah. It makes so much sense. Okay, well, I do know some empathetic men. I really do. I was given the backpack to make special for water. I'm glad. It seems like, yes, it does start within our own communities. I was just about to say that. Did Jesus die on the cross like they said? Yes. And can I tell you something? There were about 75 more people that were crucified. Like, this was a crusade, right? So many people were crucified that day, but Jesus is one of his followers. I'm going to say this. One of the people who was following Jesus saw an opportunity to profit off of his message. So that's what happened. Many people were crucified that same way in that same day. Yes, spiritual beings having a human experience, definitely. And I do feel like it starts with our own communities. I have been told that with the age of Aquarius, it is fully possible to start a cult, and that's what we don't want. We don't want a cult. We want a community. And I know that I've been warned time and time again, don't let it get culty. Like, stop that. I'm not made to be followed. I just have a story to share, and I have information. And when I sit with that, it feels heavy, because in the very beginning, I wanted to tell everything. I wanted to share everything. And I realized that's not what I was given that message for. I think my dad could finally communicate with me, because in his previous job, we were shown that he had non-disclosure agreements that he signed. He didn't realize the depth and the gravity of this at the time, and he thought that it was for the highest good of the family. And so when all these tests started happening to me, or for me, I should say, it was something that maybe he suspected but didn't know how deep it went. And so now that he can talk to me, he's like telling me all these things, and I realize that it's my job to sit with it before I just spew it out, because he is excited to be able to finally tell me everything. Okay, yes, I was told, raise your vibration and love yourself. If everyone does that, our reality will change, and it does. I'm telling y'all. Look, we need to focus on giving ourselves the same amount of love and compassion that we share so freely with others. Yeah, so that's a good point. Jesus was a very real historical figure, and he was one of what most people call ascended masters. Okay, so these ascended masters have ancient wisdom and knowledge, and they are on earth right now. They exist, and they never wanted to be followed or made a deity. They just had a message, and they were trying to help people figure out that they were the creators, and they could create their own realities, and they didn't have to comply and consent. They didn't have to comply, and they didn't have to consent to things that were not in the best interests of them. Thank you, Michonne. If we knew who we really are, there would be no more judgment, no more lies, only unconditional love. Yes. Listen, I know this for a fact too, because I want to warn y'all about something that's happening right now, and we may not can even see it. Okay, so just think about this movement, and if certain people are aware of it, it would be easy for them to if certain people are aware of it, it would be easy for them to flood our feed with people who have a similar message, but then they just get a little part and they tweak it to where it causes confusion. And that's the very thing that we need to stay away from. You've got to be so careful about who you're listening to and who you're connecting with. And if a true spiritual person ever says anything, like I encourage you now, if I've ever said anything to make you have a question in your mind or it confuses you, reach out to me, because I want everything to be crystal clear. And I know that a lot of content creators, are not sharing that same thought. So I want you to know that there are 4 different types of people And we all work different ways, okay? There were 4 original tribes on earth, and now there are 5, okay? So what I mean by this is, here's what I'm saying. Don't pay anyone for a connection to your creator. You create your own reality, and you stay away from anything or anyone who says they know the way, okay? Because if they say that, then it's not true. They know their way. They know what works for them. But if they have a full understanding, then they will realize that there are different people and we work in different ways. Meditation works for some people. Prayer works for some people. And then there are the people on earth who have to walk to meditate because they can't be sat in one place with thoughts because there are so many. There are people who paint or carve or create things. There are people who grow things. There are people who tend to things. We all work in different ways, okay? So you have to find what works for you. And if there's anyone in your For You page who is telling you that they know everything and they know the way, then run the opposite direction, because that's not... We're all here to help each other figure this out, okay? We all have gifts, and our gifts are not our own. That's an important thing we need to realize, because they're meant to be shared with one another. And through connection and collaboration and community, that's where we figure the big things out. Yes, run, for sure. Yeah, because everyone does work a little bit differently. And we all have different things that help us feel that connection. Okay? And also, I don't want to say, look, some people need to be paid for their time, and I get that. But if someone is asking you to pay for, like, a soul contract, breaking a soul contract, don't do that. You don't... Thank you, Aunt Cindy. You never pay for a gift. Right. Thank you, Aunt Lou, for coming in with that. So, we're meant to share our gifts with each other. And I think that's been part of my understanding of my gift. How do you speak to your dad? Through telepathy or visions? Both. Okay, so I know... sometimes he visits me in a dream, and sometimes I hear, not audibly hear, but something will be in my mind and I know it's from my dad. So, like very recently, he was showing me things, and my dad, I know that my dad has put very specific people in my life right now to work on something big. And he was showing me why he couldn't do this when he was on earth. And I know how much effort and energy that takes to communicate with a human mind. So I appreciate that. And I also am very grateful for that gift. But I know that everyone can do that. Everyone can be shown their gift. Okay, yes. Any downloads regarding these drones from New Jersey? Okay, look. I'm going to tell you, I've been talking about this for months. And my dad gave me a very specific number in a dream, and someone else had the same dream. It's one of the people who I connect with, and my dad told me, can I say that? I'm checking in to make sure I can say this. Okay, yes, I can. So my dad worked at an arsenal, okay, a big arsenal. And he was hearing things and seeing things, and he knew of things that were kept in secret. And if he was not dead, he would not be able to tell me these things. But my dad showed me A19. And he said, if they say this or see this, do not go. And so I didn't know what that meant, so I looked it up, and it is very similar to a photograph that someone has taken with a professional camera. They zoomed way in on the drone, and it looks much like an A-19 or a, I forget, Thomas, help me out. What did I tell you? It's not an A-19, but it's a different jet, okay, that has been designed at that facility. So, anyway, this is a big show. This is part of a big show, okay? It's being created to keep us fearful and divided. And when that didn't work and they didn't get the reaction that they thought they needed, they will continue doing these last attempts. And just remember that everything, think about the technology. Everything is a show. And like, my dad set me down in a movie theater chair, and that's what he showed me on a big screen, like this all play out in different ways. So I was shown different ways that it could play out. Like, they could stage this, but it's all a show. And another thing was the weather, okay, yeah. So that's what I'll say about that. So it's a show. Thank you, F-22 Raptor. So the A-19 that he showed me was like the F-22 Raptor. And in that drone, when that professional photographer zoomed in and used the zoom lens, it looked exactly like that. So I knew as confirmation that that was part of a show. So take that for what you want with it. So, and these drones have been spotted in many other places. And this, okay, look, nothing is to be feared. That's another thing that has kept the human species from evolving, okay? All this technology is advancing and advancing, but we as humans have remained relatively unchanged, but all that's about to change right now. We're going to start remembering our gifts. Some people are going to start smelling things like sickness. Right? Okay, y'all are with me here. Some people are going to start smelling those things and being able to tell what they are. They're going to smell it in the air. They're going to smell it on certain people and know immediately that this is something that was in the very beginning, that we had these gifts. But through time and through these programs, we have been conditioned to think that we don't have that ability. So we will reopen that telepathic communication. We will kind of have this extra sensory perception. Like, I know, I'm careful when I say this because I've had visions of being studied, and that may just be from a past life. But listen, everyone has these gifts. No one is better than you. I'm not better than anyone. I just have a story, a unique story to share. And I think that's the important thing, is that we start listening to even the smallest intuitions. Like, we don't realize that is alchemy. That is within itself, to be able to get that little whisper, or that you don't realize how special that is. But we have to learn to listen to those little things. I'm shown in many different ways when spirit or energy, whatever you want to call it, is trying to communicate with me. I will be pulled in a certain direction. I can have ringing in my ear, and each ear means something different. If it's both of them, then that means something different. And I even have episodes where I faint because the energy is so tense and heavy. And so you have to understand that we all have gifts, but some people are more open to receiving them and accepting them, because I have not always been in a place in my life where I was okay with it. I tried everything in my being not to be the way that I was for a long time. And since I have accepted myself and just know that that's there, it's gotten stronger. And it's hard at times, it's difficult, but that's how we evolve. That's how the change happens. We accept it. And when you're willing to accept all of it, then that's where great change comes. Okay? Why are some people on an easy, fun path and some people are on horribly difficult paths? Okay, this comes back. Look, I've asked this question my entire life because as a child, Aunt Cindy's in here, we talked about this earlier today too. I ended up in the hospital many, many times. I didn't realize that. Why? I think that's for a later conversation, maybe. Yeah. So look, everything that we experience in life adds to a library. And when you can transmute pain into power and negative into positive. Hey, texture junkies. Let's see. So when we can transmute things, that's where we take back our power and our control. And so I want you to understand that every human experience that you have experienced in your lifetime has been because you signed up for it, whether you realize it or not. Some people will do this to add to the library and to the wealth and the knowledge of the records. And some people do this to clear karmic debt. And when I say that, it's because the only word I have to come close to that, okay? Karmic debt is like, let's say, well, we all have an understanding of what karma is. And then we have an understanding of what dharma is. What we give, we get back, right? So sometimes you'll sign up for an experience because it will clear a karmic debt. Or sometimes you sign up for experiences just because you want to understand everything in the human experience. And I'm one of those people, okay? I have not had an easy life. I've been through divorce, disease, death, heartbreak, homelessness, everything that you can imagine that a person would struggle to go through. I have been through it and I've come through it. I had to go through it to get through it. But I know now that every experience that I went through, all the heartache, all the obstacles, all the challenges were set up for me so that I could have this unique life experience and share and help others heal. This is so wow. I live next to an arsenal and have felt called to keep watch. Wow, yeah, that's interesting because I tell you, like, I don't think we never realized. Thank you, Thomas, for that. My right ear rings as positive affirmation, kind of like, yes, you're on the right path. Yeah. And sometimes they'll be like, okay, can you do a video on that, like, ringing in the ears, telling us the different meanings? Okay, I want to say this. So, my team may not communicate the same way that your team does. Okay, and that's why I go back to, if someone tells you that they know the way, then run the opposite direction, because everyone works a little different. Everyone team works a little bit different. That's why we have to get back and kind of connect, reconnect, and connect deeper. So just when you think you kind of have an understanding of how, you have to listen to your body. You have to listen to everything in your body. And I know for a fact that this is easier when you're small because you haven't been programmed not to listen to your body. You haven't been programmed to eat a certain way. I like to think Olive, my daughter, is a very intuitive child. She's empathetic, and she knows exactly what she needs to eat. She knows when she shouldn't eat. It's amazing to me how I didn't have this knowledge when I had my other two. And to see the differences when I let her tell me what, okay, this is totally wrong parenting advice. Don't listen to me for this. But when I give her the choice, I know that she's doing what's best for her body because she hasn't been told to do anything else. So she's listening to her intuition on a very basic level. My granddaughter, she eats tons of meat. She's a meat eater. And Olive is more like nuts. She wants nuts all the time. That's her favorite food. And pickled beets. And so they're both very different. But that's because they're different people. They need to eat different because they're different. They're from different tribes. They need different things in their bodies. So when I say this, it's to say that we've become so disconnected. We've been so far removed from everything that was meant to guide us and direct us on our right path. So we do need to listen to those little voices or those little whispers or that gut feeling that we have. All those are things from energy or spirit, whatever you want to call it. So you have to figure out what it means for your team. A lot of times it just means pay attention. Pay attention to what's happening around you. Be hyper vigilant in that moment. Okay, let's see. We're taught when we're little to be afraid of things we do not understand and to stay away. Yes. So this is another thing I've worked really hard on with Olive. She has super sensitive hearing. And a lot of times she is scared of a noise. And so I try to locate whatever she's hearing and whatever she is scared of to say, look, you don't have to be scared of that. That's coming from this place. And when you can identify those things, my goodness, is it powerful. It's like understanding that we're being fed a show. When you understand that, you can say, this is a show. I don't want tickets to it. It's as simple as that. She has shown me so much. And I consider her one of my greatest teachers. All the time she's teaching me things that I don't even realize. But children do. Because they act authentically. That's the power. But, okay, so we're just listening. We just listen to our bodies. We listen to if we get smells or if we have ringing in our ears or sometimes if you just have to be vigilant and you have to stay aware and you have to realize that our ancestors are still communicating with us. They're desperate to be heard. I can go outside and hear millions of ancestors just saying, please listen to this story. Please listen to this. My person won't listen to me. And so all these energies have messages and they're wanting to be connected with. You don't have to pay anybody for that connection. It's already there, but we've been removed and told it's wrong, or we've been discouraged from experimenting with that. Just say out loud, look, I'm trying to rediscover my gifts, universe, Mother Earth, creator of all things. I'm trying to rediscover what gifts I've lost, my intuition, my knowing. So can you help me find that? And if you give me a ringing in my ear or a breeze or a note or a penny that I need to pay attention to, help me see that plainly, because as a human, I have forgotten the way. I've forgotten the truth of my ancestors. Help me learn, and they will. they're desperate to connect. I see angel numbers so much and in the most creative ways. I'm glad to hear this. Look, I got what I asked for, and I asked a couple of nights ago to make me aware of my dreams, help me remember them. So I have been waking up at 11:11, 3:33, and 4:44 for the last couple days, and I do remember my dreams now. So be careful what you wish for, be careful what you ask for, and know that you can handle that. Because I'm going to tell you something, when these gifts start coming in, if it's all revealed at one time, it will be overwhelming. Just trust me on that. Ask for small things first. Ask that you be shown what it means, or tell them to tell you plainly what direction to go in, or whatever you're wanting to rediscover. Okay, I always see 33 for the last 12 years. I remember you saying that. That is, numbers are important. And I know, okay, look, if y'all have been with me, y'all understand that I am not a creature that is mathematical. But I do understand, and I was shown that everything is math. Everything can be explained by math. And not having a mathematical brain cell, I know that repeating numbers are signs of confirmation sometimes, or signs of protection. And I know that it's important for you to pay attention if you're getting those. It's trying to tell you something. Once you see, you can't unsee, and once you know, you can't unknow. True story, fact. Oh, yes, Jess, I will try to upload it to YouTube, and thank you for joining as much as you could. So, have you always had people visit you after they pass? Okay, this is another thing I had never thought about. Thomas and I had a conversation about how it's like being an abused child. Because if you grow up with that, you never realize that anybody else has it any different. It's the same reason that I didn't even know that everybody couldn't see music in colors until I was like 12 or 13, and I was at a concert with a friend, and I said, when are they going to turn the lights down so we can see better? And everyone around me was like, you mean here? And I was like, no, see. Like, so if it's always been one way, you never know it's any different. I have had, since I was little, I have had, what would we call it? Dreams before people would pass. I don't want to say premonitions. That's not I'm throwing out all the labels that we've been using for years, because it's not exactly right. It's not a prophetic dream. I don't like that either. It's just a dream and a vision. And before people would pass, I would see that and I would tell. And then I know that scared some people around me, and they didn't really know what to do with that. So it was kind of discouraged, and I pushed it away for quite a while, and just try to tell them to go away, that I didn't want this. I didn't want to hear it. And so after a certain point, I could no longer do that. They just kept coming. Yeah, so people have always visited. Synesthesia, yes. I also had an NDE, and I completely understand you being careful with your words. Thank you so much for that, because I know that if I would have spoken directly after my experience, which I wanted to, I would have probably had a different story, but instead I sat with it. And I know now that I have to speak with intention. I've always been a talker and a doer. Like, I just wanted to get things done and kind of like, very mission driven. I want to get something done right away and I want to talk about it while I'm doing it. So I do try to be very careful, and I appreciate you understanding that, because sometimes I wonder if people get frustrated with me finding the right wording, because there aren't really words, are there? So that's another thing, that it's just simply the human language doesn't have the vocabulary yet. My mother's face shows up in the window every night since she passed. I can only see her at night. Thank you for sharing that. That's a beautiful thing. You know what? And I'm going to tell you something. Thank you for sharing that. That's a beautiful thing. You know what? And I'm going to tell you something. Aunt Cindy, let's just say, okay. Let's say this. I've seen some really strange things lately. Thomas, Des, Aunt Cindy are in here. I think y'all understand. I have experienced and seen some really bizarre and strange things as of late that to anyone else, I think they would be totally freaked out. But this is just my life. Okay, so when I say that, I want you to understand it's easy to doubt what you're seeing because everybody can't see it. Everyone has the ability, but some people are so closed off to thinking. They're so indoctrinated. They're so deep in a system that they cannot see what's there. And I want to say that sometimes when you see things, it's our first response to doubt that that's actually there. So one of the things that I saw the year after my dad passed away, not even a year. He died in April. And then my birthday was the month of May. So anyway, on my birthday, as I was driving home from work, I saw clouds that looked like a birthday cake with candles on them. And I thought, oh my God, I'm just trying to see things now. I was thinking on my drive home that, I really miss my dad. He would have made my birthday feel special. And then the clouds parted and made a cake and candles. And I immediately thought, I'm going crazy. I'm seeing things. But then whenever I passed, he told me, I sent you a cake. And so it's important you understand that it's healthy to have some of this questions, right? It's healthy to question everything that you see, but sometimes that is what keeps us from receiving the gifts, our inability to accept. So it's there and it's happening, but we think, well, no one else, so it's, I don't know. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like you have to be open to accept it. I had never had anyone visit after they passed until almost past 3 months later. My mother-in-law came to us. So yeah, this is a common thing that I've heard a lot. And if you haven't recorded your loss of life experience with Dr. Grayson at the University of Virginia, I encourage you to fill out that form and go over it, because it's important that he has a huge collection and a huge database, because he's working on things. He has been his whole entire career, and he's compiling this to try to study it. Would you care to share some of the recent things you've seen? I can't go into it right now, but there will be a time that I can share. Dr. Grayson, I think it's Greyson, and he's at the University of Virginia. So, listen, there will be a time that's right when I can say everything. May I ask why you have to be careful with your words? Okay, listen. Because I was shown so much, and I made a promise to the people in the higher dimensions that I would never... I made 2 promises. Well, actually 3. That I would come back with this mission, and that I would never say anything that would cause fear and confusion, because there's enough of that already on Earth. And I would never go into conspiracy theories, even if they're true. So those are 3 things that I promised. Okay, so... And after you have this experience, you realize that words and language are so limited to what is out there. So it's difficult sometimes to articulate into words what our limited language and capabilities can explain. How can we figure out the best way for each of us to manifest differently? Okay, listen. So if you have a specific thing that you're trying to manifest and you feel like that you would do good with it, then tell the universe. Become obsessive thinking that. So, I don't know what it is, a house. Just write about it. How you would feel if you had that. What you would do with it. And if it is meant to be, then it will happen. Why would there be fear if what you saw was good? Well, okay, I'll say this. Our human brain in the very beginning was designed to fear, because in the very beginning, that's what kept us alive as humans. However, that is the very thing that has been used for profit, for control, for greed, for division. So, some of the things that I was shown are not... There's no good and bad. There's just how you interpret. And so that's why you need to be careful about what we say. Yes. Okay. Can we communicate with people in higher dimensions without having an NDE? Yes, it's entirely possible. And you've probably already done it, whether you realize it or not. Think about... I don't know if everyone has this, but just bear with me while I get to this point. Do you have an inner dialogue? Like, if you ask yourself a question like, where did I leave my keys? And then you start thinking an internal thought. That comes from your highest self. And that highest self exists outside of you, but is within you all at the same time. I don't know if that makes sense, but you're already communicating with your higher self. So that version of yourself exists in another place all at the same time. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Lady Luna. No one is coming to save you. You must save yourselves. Yes. As above, so below. As within, so without. Yes. There's depth to that. Yeah. Okay, y'all. I think what I want to leave you with is there are these birds pecking on the window. Like, if you take time to notice the connections around you, you'll feel like you live in a different world. If you stop and center yourself and pay attention to everything as an extension of yourself, then you'll start to see that the world is not such a bad place. This is the best place to be. And yes, we all have grievances, and I understand that. But we have to write some new history. And this is starting, okay? We need to understand when we're hopeful and we find hope and magic in the smallest moments, then that gives us the power to take back what was taken from us. Okay? We take back a little bit of the magic and the connection. So I guess I'll end today by saying you are all exactly where you're supposed to be. You are deserving. You are deserving of love and healing. And I'll say that every time, and I mean it. And I know sometimes people can say I love you and you think it's just saying that. But I truly do love each and every one of you because you are a part of me. And if I don't know you in this lifetime, then I've known you in a past. And I just want you all to know that you're worthy of healing. You have to go through it to get through it. We need to start thinking about